Hi everyone, Adeola Buchi here. Welcome back to our YouTube channel. So today I'm going to be doing something a little different and very interesting. I am going to be reacting to a few of Solomon's most controversial tweets. So the first one is a response to Sissy Emi. So Sissy Emi tweeted and said, once you start having kids, one parent should be flexible. Can be the dad or the mum, but flexibility is important. I don't know how parents who have early work hours and close late cope. Okay. And then Solomon replied and said, preferably the mother, because children need their mothers more in the first 3 years of their lives for the maternal nurturing care that mothers are biologically equipped to provide, which is necessary for that child to have a secure emotional attachment. Men can do this too, but it's not natural for fathers. Secondly, we need to come to terms with the fact that we cannot have it all at the same time. There will always be career breaks to raise children. Though it can be economically challenging for some, it is essential to raise great children, which I think is a far more honorable and fulfilling thing to do than working for profit. Okay. Yeah, I don't see any issues with Solomon's reply, and I don't understand why people would get annoyed at this reply. So, for example, he said preferably the mother because children need their mothers more in the first 3 years of their lives for the maternal nurturing care that mothers are biologically equipped to provide. This is just a fact that is backed by science and research, because we carry our children for 9 months, that there is already an innate bond that you have with your child even before the child is born, right? That the father doesn't necessarily have. He's not saying that fathers trying to make an excuse for absent fathers. He's not saying that fathers should not be present. That's not what he's saying. But he's just saying that children need their mothers more in that infant stage, in those first 3 critical years of their lives. Honestly, I don't see where the issue is. So he goes on to say, which is necessary for that child to have a secure emotional attachment. Again, this is just psychology. And then you see, he even said it. He even said men can do this too, but it's not natural for fathers. And it's true, it's not natural for fathers, because mothers are the ones that literally incubate the child. So as I said previously, when you carry your baby for 9 months, there is an innate bond that you have instinctively. There are instincts that mothers have that fathers do not necessarily have. It doesn't mean that fathers cannot be taught. Of course, fathers can be taught. And it doesn't mean that fathers should not be present. So he said men can do this too. And the thing is, I know that there are probably some men who can do this excellently, and who may have that kind of instinct. However, they are exceptions. And exceptions, as we know, exceptions do not make the rule. But for the majority of people, for men, when they become fathers, that nurturing side needs to be learnt. But for mothers who, gave birth to the child, it kind of comes instinctively most of the time. I also know that there are some mothers who it may not come instinctively immediately. Those are exceptions, and exceptions don't make the rule. Secondly, he goes on to say, secondly, we need to come to terms with the fact that we cannot have it all at the same time. There will always be career breaks to raise children, which is very true. You can't be at the height of your career, at the peak of your career, and also be 100% present and there for your children, especially in the formative years. I think Solomon has actually referenced a video from Diary of a CEO where he interviewed a psychologist. It was actually me that shared, like a lot of people don't know, but it was actually me that found that video and shared with Solomon. And I just shared with him that it just really resonated with me. What he's saying here about, having career break and all of that, it's just a statement of fact. He's not saying that every woman should now go and quit their jobs. That's not what he's saying. He's literally just making a statement of fact. And for the people that are in a place economically where they can do that, it will be more beneficial to their children if they do that. But not everyone, not everyone is in that place. Even we are not in that place. I wish that I was in a place in my career where I could literally take a break for the first 3 years of my son's life. But unfortunately, I'm not there. But I'm still thinking of ways that I can adjust so that I can be home as much as possible for the formative years of my son's life, because that is what is important to me. And I was even speaking with one of my friends about this, that these things that Solomon is talking about before you have children, it may not necessarily cross your mind. It may not be something that you think about or but as soon as you have a child, it's like something just switches on in your brain. At least that was my experience. Of course, people may have different experiences, but it's like a light bulb just switches on. And I'm just thinking of your child literally becomes your sole focus, especially in those first few years, because obviously you want to be, at least I would hope that you would want to be there for them as much as you can. You would want to be present in their development, in helping them reach their milestones, in all these things. I really don't, it's the truth. Like it's like that saying, you can't have your cake and eat it. You have to choose one. And talking about taking breaks from career, even with me, I'll use myself as an example. I love my career. It's something that I studied at university. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I enjoy my job. But as much as I love my career and I am very devoted to it, I'm still doing my exams, and I'm hoping that very soon I'll complete all my exams and qualify as an actuary. However, my career will never, oh my goodness, it will never come before my son or any of my other future children. That's just me. And I would like to think that that is the stance of every mother out there, because these are human beings, they're literally destinies that we have been entrusted with and that we are privileged to steward in this earth. And that is not something that should be taken lightly at all, in my opinion. It is something that should be regarded as with the utmost importance, because it is very, very important. How you bring up your children, how we bring up our children now, will affect them many, many years, far into their adult years. It will affect them. And that is literally how I see it. So there is no way, just because I am really passionate about my career and, I really want to progress quickly, because my colleagues, they're, even this year that I'm having off as maternity leave, people are passing exams and they're surpassing me. But sometimes I'm a bit like, I wish I was progressing too. But my son is more important. The destiny that God has entrusted in my hands to steward is more important. So what Solomon said here, there is literally nothing wrong with it. You cannot have your cake and eat it. You cannot have everything at the same time. You cannot be flourishing in your career and also giving your all in motherhood. Something has to suffer. And then the second one, so Solomon tweeted, I understand the economic necessity of a 2-income household. Still, it's wiser for the woman to take a career break to be fully present for the baby, because children need their mothers more in the first 7 years of their lives. This ultra consumerist culture of both parents tirelessly chasing money and paying for strangers to raise their children is damaging to the family unit. There's no need to spend all your salary on nursery when you could stay at home. Financial success is good, but a stable family with untraumatized kids is one of the most fulfilling things anyone can do in life. That last sentence, that really resonates with me. But let me go back to the beginning. So I think this particular, conversation about who takes the career break is very nuanced, and it will definitely differ from family to family. However, there is nothing wrong with Solomon saying that it's wiser for the woman to take the career break, because I mean, I've said previously, children need their mothers more in those first 3 years, and even here he said the first 7 years, which is very true. But basically, those formative years of the child's life, the mother's presence is, would I say, more beneficial to the child? Yeah, let's go with that. More beneficial to the child. It doesn't mean that the father should not be there, and it doesn't mean that the father is not making an impact and is not bonding with the child. That's not what I'm saying. But the mother is needed more. Like, that word more is the key word here. So please don't misconstrue my words. I think also where you live can also factor into this. So I mean, we live in the UK, and there is the nuance that in the UK it is really hard to live off of just one income, to live as a one income household, unless the person whose income the family is relying on is a really high earner, at which can cover all the bills and all of that. But just because it's really hard doesn't mean it's impossible, because there's a lot of luxuries that we can compromise on and let go of. For example, if we're staying in a 3-bedroom house, do we need a 3-bedroom house? Can we downsize to a 2-bedroom house or a 1-bedroom, so that one person's income can cover all our expenses? So I think the point I'm just trying to make is that it's possible, but sacrifices will need to be made, and it's just about whether as parents we are willing to make those sacrifices for the future of our children. But this point about there's no need to spend all your salary on nursery when you could stay at home, the prices that nurseries are charging nowadays are absolutely exorbitant and ridiculous. You will see nurseries charging £2,000, 1,800, and that is the amount of some people's salaries. So I get it. For example, you have Fred and Susan. They're both earning £2,000 for example, in their careers. They have a baby, and the nursery is charging £1,800. Susan should just stay home, take a career break, stay home. What is the point of paying for somebody else to look after? It's not like that extra income is even going into your pocket. You are literally using it to pay for somebody else to look after your baby. To me, it just makes sense for somebody to just stay home, and preferably the mum, because obviously the child is still an infant and is still a baby and is still very heavily reliant on the mum. I don't see an issue with this tweet at all, to be honest. Yeah. And I just want to make this last point. I mean, I'm on social media, but I'm not very active. I'm definitely not as active as Solomon, and I don't go on social media as much as he does. But sometimes when I am on social media, I just go and check out some of his posts and read the comments. It baffles me when I see comments like, she's probably suffering in that marriage, he's probably oppressing her, or he doesn't do anything in the house. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, that could not be further away from the truth. From my pregnancy, he's the one that has been doing most of the cooking. He went to every single antenatal appointment up until, when I went into labor, in the labor room, when I gave birth, he's been there. When our son came, it has been such a joy watching him with our son. He is so attentive. He would wake up during the night when our son wakes up and needs a feed. That's when he was still bottle feeding before I stopped expressing breast milk, and I just decided to latch him on directly. He takes our son in the morning so that I'll have some time and catch up on some sleep in the early hours of the morning. He is so attentive to our son's needs, to my needs, and even till today, he's the one that does most of the cooking. So please, I am enjoying my marriage. All those people that think I am suffering, I am not suffering. Like, God blessed me with this man. And I just love watching him with our son. I love watching him interact and play with and take care. It warms my heart so much, and it just gladdens my heart. If you are a man watching this and you think that he's trying to give you an escape route, that you don't have to be involved in your children's lives, that's not true. He's very, very involved in our son's life. So all the things that he said in the tweets that I read out, it's not to be used as a cop-out for men. It's not to be used as a cop-out for fathers. It's not to be used as an excuse for absent fathers. So he is not advocating for absent fathers, definitely not, because he himself is a very, very present, available, loving, caring father to our son. So yeah, I think I'll end that there. I hope you enjoyed this little video of mine, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.